Classic Asp. So file, new file, HTML page, say open. Then file, save. Save this in C drive, inet pub, www root, and you should give your file. Demo ASP 6.asp. Click on save. Yes. Now this has become our ASP file. Okay. Now, so in this application, let's see how to get all your CGI or server variables accessing. How you work on it. First I say table border is equals to 3. Close this tag. Table. Now inside this table tag I write server instruction percentage for each server variable SV. In we got an object called request dot server variables percentage and gettable. Rule for loop should be closed in VB script with next keyword. This is end of for loop. Now inside this for loop I need to have table row. Table row. Inside table row we will have table data slash table data. In this table data I want to have server variable equal to SV. That will display you with server variable. Thus you'll get only variable list of server variables. Save this. Open Internet Explorer. Now in this you have to put the path http://localhost demo asp 5.as. Demo asp, okay, 6.as. Yes, these are your list of variables, complete variables. All the variables are available. I once again run the same path http:// / localhost / demo asp6.asp. Yes, now I got my list of variables. Yeah. Now along with these variables, there should be like default values, whatever are connected to that list I want. So this is to get values now. So again I write table data server variable equal to request dot server variable of variable name percentage greater than, close your table data. Now you get along with variables, values also will be displayed. You'll have one more column beside it. Yes, you got all the values. Physical path of the file. Okay, we'll discuss of this paths also, different types of path that we can use in your ASP.NET. So that also we'll discuss because we have come across with this word for that reason. Okay, come down. Here, this is the physical path of the file. Okay, so how does it make a difference? That also I'll list here for your reference later on. I'll discuss both the cases. I'll write. Currently, you find this path, and our file path is like this. This is our executed path. Okay, two paths are there. That's it. Now, if you go to your application, you can find out localhost. Application hosting is on localhost. Here, URL. Only application name you can find, nothing else there. Okay, what do you find? Application name, path, everything is missing, right? Here. Now, keeping these things in view, if you go a little further, remember, as far as web application is concerned, you would find three types of path. One is called physical path. One physical path is this one, what I have mentioned. That will include your drive, folder, subfolder, and application name. Application name. If not like this, if you have any subfolder inside it, if you have any subfolder inside it, I'll give you another example. So this time, here assume I have something, a folder, subfolder, ASP file / demo ASP6.asp. Either it may be direct in root or it may be a part of some subfolder. Both comes under category of what? Physical path. Still to make a difference, this could be a point. This is a file which is running in root folder or root directory. And this is a file which is executing in subdirectory, right? And this path which we find here, which we find for our application by default, which you find for our application, this is called absolute path. absolute path. And for this absolute path, still to go, you'll have one more option here, which is not visible for us, which is not visible. Actually, we have even something called port number, which is not there here. So it means actual, if you look into this syntax, it always goes in this way. HTTP colon slash slash server name colon port number slash then you'll have your file name dot asp. Yeah, ASP. So if this is for whatever I have written is for root directory, and if it is http colon slash slash localhost slash, then I say asp files slash demo asp6.asp. This is working for subdirectory. Two already I mentioned. Physical path, absolute path. The way they make a difference, you can see there. But in both the cases, we didn't mention port number because when you run your application on IIS server, especially Classic ASP application, it runs with default port number of IIS. Default port number. Now, third path that you call as virtual path. In virtual path, you even don't talk about protocol, you don't talk about server name, nothing. You just have to mention your file name. I mean to say direct file name. If it is on running on root directory, just you can say like localhost slash uh, demo asp6.asp if it is in a root directory. And if you want to run this on a subfolder, then you can say slash asp files slash demo asp6.asp if this is in subdirectory. Here, this is also not needed. Direct you can give direct demo asp6.asp is root directory, and subdirectory you'll have your folder name and this one virtual path. That makes a difference of all these 3 points. Okay, three options we have: physical path, absolute path, virtual path. Three options. So it depends like what you want to make, how you want to make use of these paths in your ASP.NET application. Three are there. That's it. Now we are going to start today ASP.NET. Yes. Now in this ASP.NET also, we are going to discuss how this is different from classic ASP. Now, first I'll make a small comparison so that you can make a point of how do you differentiate these all things. That part, let me make it clear first. Okay, two things we are going to highlight. Now, first thing that what you notice is, as I already said, mm, So here I'm going to make introduction to ASP dot ASP dot. Now, under this introduction, first point that we learn, it's called ASP dot net is what you call active server pages, and net, when I say, you know about it, either you call network or you call it as network enable technology. That is what ASP stands for. Okay. Now, another important thing that you find is ASP.NET is to develop websites and web applications. Third, ASP.NET is uh, web framework or web technology, which is actually a part of .NET framework. .NET framework. And fourth, what actually you require to do is here. ASP.NET needs HTML, which I already said in introduction class, CSS, it requires JavaScript, it requires C#.NET or VB.NET, any one programming language mandatory, and ADO.NET. That is for database programming. Now, second, we are going to learn a comparative point. A comparative point. Comparison of classic ASP and ASP.NET. How do they differ? I mean, in what way you find a difference in these two, right? One, as simple, you can say like ASP.NET is advanced of classic ASP. First point. Extension of classic ASP. And second thing, classic ASP is old web technology. Developed by say Microsoft only. Developed by Microsoft. And it was popular in 1990s. 1990s. Yeah. 2 points. It means now what do you say? What do you say? That now if you go to this ASP.NET, definitely, since you know that it had been released in 2002 .NET, was introduced in 2002. From then, ASP.NET has been captured and it has been opted by many companies to develop a web application. Okay, uh, this is how you make a comparison, right? Classic ASP and ASP.NET. Now, coming to, okay, I'll save this. ASP.NET. Okay. Now, coming to our next part, that what we are going to learn is about difference between classic ASP and ASP.NET. Okay. And in that, few highlighted things I'll write. And what we find is classic ASP uses VB script language, which I already demonstrated. Right? VB script language. And the problem with VB script is VB script language, and it is not, and it in the sense VB script here. Better I write. And VB script is not object oriented programming language comparison, whereas ASP.NET uses, above I have written, either C#.NET or VB.NET, and these are object oriented programming. And my personal request, don't take it for granted, please. I already have shared VB.NET content with it in a topic called VB Notes or VB Example, something is there. I have shared that file with you all. Start going every example of that file, implementing it using VB.NET, so that some applications in ASP.NET I develop using VB.NET, not totally C#. So again, I don't want to waste my time on explaining what I did of that VB.NET. So I just write a code. Now it's left to you that the way you develop an application in it, so that easily you can cope up or you can manage it. Okay, I already have shared that file, VB example, something is there, I don't remember that file name, but it's there. Probably next, not through Google Drive, through email, I'll be uploading the files that which are related with interview related queries, FAQs and interview related queries. All those documents prepared by me, you can even go through those documents before you start attending interviews on .NET. For object oriented, I prepared file separate, and I prepared separate document for ADO.NET, and some technical queries are there that which mostly they ask in interviews. You try to find solutions. I made only questions available in it, not solution. Solution you have to find for it. Okay, now coming to the second. So one major difference we already have noticed, that uses VB script, and the problem with VB script is it's not object-oriented programming language, whereas ASP.NET uses C#.NET or VB.NET, and they both are object-oriented programming languages. Second rule. Second rule. Classic ASP does not support server-side controls. So there are controls. So controls means you should recollect that. C#, label control, link label control, text box control, and whatever the list we have, whatever the list we have that we studied in C#, all those controls are available here. So even we won't waste time on again learning all the controls. Whichever controls are same, I just give you the assignment. You try to do it in ASP.NET. C# example you keep aside or go through that video of that control first and then try to do it in ASP.NET. Like you can say not, I don't say like all controls are there. No, there are some special controls in ASP.NET which are not there in C#, or the controls available in C# are not there in ASP. They got their own controls. ASP has got their own control, but still there are few things which are common. So those controls, again, I won't waste my time. You just have to go to the video of C# controls, try to implement the same in ASP.NET. But interesting thing is there is something called server-side control, right? And who will not support this? Classic ASP does not support. Whereas ASP.NET supports server-side control. Classic ASP does not support server-side control, whereas ASP.NET supports server-side control. So how to identify that so and so is a server-side control? Those all things I'll get back to you. Okay, so that is all a practical approach. Third rule, classic ASP does not support server-side event, click event, double click event, text change event, selected index change. We got for every control there are some events. But the problem here is we don't have any server-side events for Classic ASP. You might have noticed for Classic ASP, you have designed your form using HTML, but the code which you have written in it, we have managed by using ASP, by using server-side script with using VB script language. That language we used. Here, no support of server-side event. Whereas ASP.NET supports server-side events. That makes another point. And fourth, on total, or you can say maximum application, you would find Classic ASP does not support something called postback. Postback, most important thing. Classic ASP has this issue. It doesn't support, but we should know now what is postback and all. We'll see, because maximum applications will be for what? Postback. We'll see that detail we'll study. Whereas ASP.NET supports postback. So Classic ASP में there is no postback, and ASP.NET supports what? Postback. Postback is like, executing a web application and returning the output of that web application through the same page again. Means execution and output will happen within the same page. Classic ASP, we don't have that facility. What we tried in Classic ASP was this one. You input data in one form, and you execute that, or you get the output of that form onto another form, but not on the same form. We tried this example. ASP4, ASP5 connection I have shown you using action attribute of form tag and method equal to post, method equal to get. That also we have discussed. So that part it is. Now, coming to another important thing, that what we learn is versions and all you already know. So we don't waste our time on that. C# versions you have to replace with ASP.NET. Same story, same framework, nothing, no changes at all. Same. C#.NET 1.0 framework version was .NET 1.0. It was in 2002. Same. Replace C#.NET with ASP.NET 1.0. ASP.NET 1.1, ASP.NET 4.7, .NET 4.7 framework, 2017 release. That chart I gave you, that chart you have to go through and replace with ASP.NET. Okay, this completes your introduction to ASP.NET. But lot of things are there in this query, in this topic, in this particular document which I have prepared. So I don't have separate document for this introduction. Whatever are important points of it, this paintbrush picture I have prepared. So if you are in, however, I'll share this picture so you can go through that. Separate document and all I don't have for this. Okay, that is one part. Going further, second important thing. Now, web server in Visual Studio for ASP.NET Web project. Yes. Okay. Web servers and what I said, Visual Studio for ASP.NET what? Web projects. Now, first fundamental rule we already know about IIS server. We already know. If you are interested, you can host your application of ASP.NET either on IIS server, which is actually called to be an external server for Visual Studio. Okay, that is one point. What did I say? Is ASP.NET. We already have last topic, Classic ASP. All ASP applications we hosted or we executed on IIS server. But now what I'm saying, ASP.NET web application, if you are interested, you can host on IIS server, which is said to be an external web server for Visual Studio. It is not built in. Okay, and now remember one more thing. Visual Studio itself provides its own server. So not necessary that always you need to have a support of only what IIS server. No, not required. I said if you are interested, you can host on it. If you are not interested, skip off. You have your own server with Visual Studio. Visual Studio. Okay. And till Visual Studio 2012, till Visual Studio 2012 release, we had 2 to 3 servers available with Visual Studio. From then they removed all, and now we have only one server. What is it? Let me give you some brief overview on this topic. First, I'll write when we develop web projects in Visual Studio, we need a web server. For what? Why do you need web server? For 2 reasons. To test or to run those projects. Okay, this is one point. Compulsory unit web server is needed. Right? And second rule, we'll talk about Visual Studio. Visual Studio allows to test the web projects with different web servers like one IIS Express. So we will host all our applications on IIS Express, which is considered to be your default web server. Default web server of of Visual Studio. IIS Express. Second we have Visual Studio Development Server. This is one more. Visual Studio Development Server. This is also built-in server for ASP. Built-in server. Okay. Now, coming to another point, that what we study is something called IIS server. You already know this comes with OS. This comes with OS, not with Visual Studio. Even you don't install Visual Studio, still you can say there is IIS server available in your operating system. IIS server. So this is obviously not Visual Studio. It is OS related IIS. Now we have something called custom web servers. So these are like third party. Other companies have also developed their own servers. I don't know whether you're aware of it or not. There is one web server that Java people uses it. Java people. And they call it as Apache Tomcat server. If you have heard about it, then it's fine. Apache, yeah. Apache Tomcat server. Yes, there is also one web server. Java runs your applications, web applications on Apache Tomcat. If you're interested, that application can also be used, that server. That's what I mean. Custom web server. You have to install that, then you have to configure it. Then even Apache is helpful. Okay. So these are your servers. Now, third point that we learn is these web servers mm, what to say? Mm, no, these web servers. IIS Express, comma, Visual Studio Development Server can be used, better I write in this way, can be used with file-based website project. Yeah, yes, these two only. This important. This word is important. File-based website project. If you're hosting on IIS server, then it will not be file-based. It will not be file-based. Okay. Now, second important thing is using IIS Express with Visual Studio. Now, first point, IIS Express is installed automatically along with Visual Studio. It means whenever we install Visual Studio or .NET software, along with that you will be available with what? IIS Express. Okay, one rule. Mm, mm. Second, IIS Express includes many features of IIS 7 and 8 web server. Mm, IIS 7 and 8 web servers, and you don't need to install them separately. So what you can say is uh, without uh, without making us to install many features of 7 and 8 web servers mm, without making us to install separately. Separately. Separate. Third rule. IIS Express mm, 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 IIS Express, how to write. This is possible, like I mean, for example, if you have developed a website for IIS Express, IIS Express, later you have been asked to make the website uh, change of server. So client wants your website to run on IIS server. You designed it for IIS Express, but he wants to make your application run on what? IIS server. So there is a provision where whether application is developed on IIS server, you can migrate to IIS Express. Or application developed in IIS Express, you can convert to IIS server. You can do that. So how do you say this point is IIS Express? Uh, hmm, okay, very smoothly can migrate the web projects from me. Web projects can migrate the web projects uh, uh, web projects migrate the web projects can migrate the web project. Hmm, how to write this? From mm, or to other web servers. So how do you highlight this point is like if your application is developed on other web servers, you can migrate to IIS Express. And if application is developed in IIS Express, even it supports to migrate to other web servers. So it is like from IIS to other web servers or from other web servers to IIS Express, like that. So that from oblique to you can say web projects from other web servers or web projects to other web servers. Means web servers applications web projects developed on other web servers you can bring back to IIS Express. Yes, that's it. Now, fourth point. Fourth point. um, IIS Express supports and enables the same extensibility model. And we have one file, web.config. We used to have app.config for C sharp. Here it is web.config. File settings. Yeah, that we have for IIS Express. Web.config support we require. And when you make these changes, you don't need to make any changes in our application code. So IIS Express does not require changes in our web application code. No, you can make changes in your settings of IIS Express, but uh, you don't need to make any changes in your what program. Then another point. Mm, mm. When other web servers are also installed, then for each project, yeah, for each project, a separate web server can be used. It means if I go with 5 projects, I can run 5 projects on 5 different servers. I can execute 5 projects on what? 5 different servers. Then second, second, using Visual Studio application development server. Yeah, this is second. So we'll talk about this server in tomorrow's class. Yes. So this is all about what web server, web server, Visual Studio. That's it. Yeah. Okay. So we'll stop the session.